Wait now, what today is? Today's Tuesday? Happy 91st birthday to Papa.
Let's have a good time.
My darling,
Let's have a good time. Let's have a good time. Let's have a good time. My lover, I have to mention in my confession to you, my lover, and must discuss what we should and shouldn't do. I said, my lover, a good relation is a relation based on trust. My lover, we too jealous and suspicious. It's outrageous and ridiculous.
the way we messing up with mine.
How we messing up the mind? I tell you no. My lover,
I had a good time.
no, my lover, my lover.
I had a real good time.
Let's have a good time.
My darling, no.
Let's have a good time.
Sing again in 91.
My lover, I used to worry about you having a second hand. My lover, as you could help me fulfill my duty as a man.
Hey, the bass man make this song here.
You know we're tripping, we're really stupid for true. My lover, it's so amusing to hear abusing and accusing. It's so confusing and only messing up your mind. And only messing up your mind. My lover, my lover, my lover, my lover, my lover, my lover. Let's have a good time. No, my lover. Let's have a good time.
Welcome to episode 150. Thing to celebrate, you know? I feel like just yesterday we celebrated 100 and had a little bash. Because we reached 150 already. That was up when you don't miss an episode. That was up when you don't miss a Tuesday.
My lover, your love too precious and too delicious to lose. My lover, and you too vital and too special to abuse. What good for rum good is good for cancer and goosey too. My lover, you must remember, me baby lover, when you out yonder, protect my pleasure.
You know who messing up with mine? A man asked me the other day, he said, boy, how every time the episode starts, you be in your phone, so it's checking the episode number. You know? Let's have a good time. And listen, if Nelson could reach 91 and be strong and performing and thinking, see it's 1,000. If he can make 91, I am 150 on the way to 10,000. Welcome back. Listen, all you had a good time. Salute. Thank you for everybody who's been tuning in. Welcome back to everybody who's been tuning in. Thank you, all the new listeners. Thank you. And remember to like, share, subscribe, and do all the YouTube things that the young people is right. Go and watch a young person YouTube video. And everything they tell you should do for me. I can't remember to say all these kind of things, right? I'm terrible at all this, right? But salute to everybody. How are they going? How was the week off? You see how that man put things in place, huh? Well, don't tell me nothing about being late no more. Don't tell me nothing about missing no episode. Don't tell me nothing about being inconsistent. It's 150 episodes. 150 is a milestone. That level of consistency could be found almost nowhere else in my life. But we reached 150. So I'm taking congratulations and thing in the comments. You know what I mean? I'm taking all that. I'm taking everything that come my way. I'm accepting as accepted. And I want to say, let me clean up time, right? Because the episode last week while I was abroad was really to pay off some debts. But I end up putting myself in more debt. I want to say happy birthday, not just to the great Lord Nelson, but to my mama. Only I'm getting abused. She called me abusing and confusing and accusing, but I was losing. I forget to tell the woman happy birthday, but it's because of the time I recorded. It was before her birthday, everything. So happy birthday to Lord Nelson. Happy birthday to my mama. Love you all both. I like my mother more than I like Lord Nelson. Happy birthday to the coup. I forget to talk about that too. Happy birthday. Where was during the coup and all that? We had that conversation every single year. I was not here, so I couldn't get into TTT's 1990 documentary, right? Now, if you listen to the Yankees, right? The Yankees always talk about the fact that they have enough, the black Yankees, that is, the hip-hop crowd. They always talk about they had enough Biggie Smalls and enough Tupac documentaries that they want to see no more. And every time another one come out of O.J. Simpson, everybody's turned like a moth to the flame and go back and watch them things. And it's almost the same with 1990 or the coup type documentaries and stories from people during the coup. Because no matter how much we try to escape it, the mystery behind it and all that's still there. So when they bring out a next documentary, all of a sudden people saying, boy, this was the best one we see. And then people go and be complaining about the fed up of it. But 5 years from now, you'll see the same. It makes me wonder, like, those of people who born after 1990. You think the coup will stop being mysterious and being such a big thing to people who didn't live through it? Like, some of us might look back at the Black Power movement. That's what it's called? Rafik Shah and Daga and these fellas. Might look back. The Black Power movement is just a myth in my mind. I was 10 years before I born, so it's just like, oh, okay, Black Power movement. I don't know that as eager to watch a documentary on the Black Power movement as I am with the coup, but the coup stuff seems to be getting better and better. And salute up front to Dominic Kalipasad, who's always an interesting follow. If you don't follow Dominic Kalipasad, follow him on Instagram. I'm talking to people of all age groups and all interests here, right? Because while I come here and make a little joke about the news and talk about the politics and the sports and a little bit of culture mixing, Dominic Kalipasad is all-encompassing. Anything about Trinidad and Tobago and our history and the history of the region, he puts not just videos and pictures of it, but a good little backstory that sometimes well, for me personally, I wouldn't have known at all or anything, so salute to him. And it's always interesting to see him talking about the coup, being the youth man in the mix when they take over TTT, you know what I mean? Being the youth man there who, I believe he would have been the first face that we saw on TTT when they had the coup. And I can't imagine being as young as he might have been. He might have been in his 20s back then. And when you think about how, just the way he was doing in his 20s and how poised and composed you might have been to read that story. And just to spare a moment to think of how important it was for him to be calm enough to come and report this story, even though he frightened for his own life and the life of his colleagues. He thinking about his family and returning home safely and all that, and probably pretty sure that he would not return home safely. But you had to go and you put on that face and that voice of poise for the benefit of everybody in the nation, so that even though there's going to be a certain level of anarchy and mayhem, we still turn into you in this moment to find out what it is going on, to understand, to know what to do and all that. So salute to Dominic Kalipasad, continuing to do an amazing job on Instagram and educating the country. And he's also on 95.5 in that midday slot, which to me, that 95.5 midday slot on a Sunday, when I say midday, 10 to 1 kind of slot, that is where the heavy hitters in radio and the the best talk show hosts end up. And he's owning that spot now. Salute to George Umbala Joseph, who would have done that for a long time. But Dominic Kalipasad is the man. Anyway, where we starting? We starting with vacation thing on. It's July, August, and again, I tell you already. I'm starting to notice a trend. Sometimes it's taking you long to figure things out because you're doing something and you're trying to figure out what's the best way to approach it and thing. And episode 5, I thought I had it figured out and I realized I don't know who listening. I don't know what to talk about. I'm not sure exactly what to do. By episode 50, I said, right, I had this down pat, but you listen, you're always learning on it. Confucius and them Chinese and them say you can never stand in the same river twice. That's how I'm feeling because you're continuously learning about your audience and what they like and what they dislike and them kind of thing. But let me tell you one thing I learned, right? You see, this podcast audience, all you don't listen during July and August at all. So when I on vacation, I tell myself I had to put out episode and make sure people are feed the streets something. Man is on vacation too. People, I am not alone. This is a traveling audience. So July, August, I was taking it easy on these episodes. You half kill me and nobody is taking me on. Now, but in fairness to people, what I really appreciate about people, right, is that even though people on vacation and they go on, you know, like I always see Trinidad, USA, some listens in Norway, some listens in Germany, Canada, UK, you know, they have some kind of, or Barbados and Jamaica, who I assume is Trinis in all these countries who listen. Gotta be, right? And let me tell you something. From the time you see July, August hit, you start to see Spain. you start to see a little bit of Spain, Ireland, all kind of nice places. So you're traveling sweet and thing. But one thing I do appreciate is that even though people mightn't get a chance to listen when they're on vacation or they're on the move, it seems as though people always come back and listen to them because there's a episode predictor that the podcast app uses. And my episode predictions usually stay steady even though the numbers looking low. So I appreciate that. Anyway, we didn't come here to do a podcast about podcasting. I want to talk about emancipation, right? And how we emancipate ourselves and we state our mind and so on. And instead of emancipating, we haven't paying attention to that. We paying attention to the man running the country and what kind of watch he wear. This is the greatest country on earth. You can't hope to live nowhere else. But let me tell you about the dumb rep trip now. I can tell you about it. Did I tell you I was going to Dominican Republic? In Dominican Republic. Now let me tell you this. This is a country I say I would never go to. I say I'm not going there because I don't like the way these people treat Haitians and the stories that you read and them kind. I don't like it. I don't like it. I feel like I Haitian more than anybody else. And on the cusp of emancipation, I found myself in a country that I believe hate black people. That's my belief, right? You used to see it all the time. Like when I was going to Jamaica often, you would fly over Hispaniola. You remember Hispaniola? The Hispaniola is the island that have Haiti on one side and Dominican Republic on the next. Haiti on the west end, Dominican on the right. For those, did I say the west and the right? The west side is Haiti and Dominican Republic is on the east side, right? And Punta Cana is on the extreme eastern side. So they sell that as a, I think Punta Cana, Boca Chica, all the big resorts are on the furthest side away from Haiti. And there's a selling point for them. They say, all right, don't worry about the strife on that side. It go take them fellas too long to come and raid a resort here. I generally don't like that, but I find myself there on the cusp of emancipation. And it was important for me to be there because my sister, salute to my sister, Janelle, we're going to call her for now the Queen of Tragedy. The Queen of Tragedy. There's a lot of tragedy on the strip, you know what I mean? There's a lot going on. But she came up with an idea when I went by her a few years ago for Thanksgiving and said that my father never had all his children together, staying together, right? And he had children in Gripe, right? He have big children like me and my sister, because I am in my 40s, my sister in her 60s, 70s. And my little brothers and sisters, I gotta stop calling them little brothers. My other brothers and sisters, they are between the age of like 20 and 26, 27. 2 boys and a girl. So Daddy never had the opportunity to have all of us together. My father's a man like work, and he's take on work, and the more work he get, the more work he take on. I'm starting to hear home here that I a lot like that and thing, right? But she thought it would be a good idea to bring everybody together and say, for opportunity for Daddy to relax, you know what I mean? Daddy's a guys take care of everybody. If he could relax, enjoy himself, get a little vacation together and things. So we put together, I can't even say we, she put together a plan for all of us to get there from all the different parts, everybody living somewhere else, and get all the families together, including all the grandchildren, and come together. So I think it was an important trip for me. I appreciate her. That my lover who I was talking about in the beginning of the episode, in case you missed it, because I appreciate the fact that she did that. I don't think it would have happened without that, because if you know, just to get a little backstory, it's story time, right? But to get a little backstory about us, the company I work with is my father is the founder of the companies, and we work together. So it is difficult for even me and him to travel together, because I feel kind of uncomfortable when both of us are abroad. And after watching Succession, I was real uncomfortable when both of us was on the same flight. I don't think we should do that again. I think we should fly separately. But yeah, we in business together, we see each other every day. And sometimes you just take it for granted when you're seeing somebody all the time that you're spending quality time when you're not. Every discussion is a work discussion or is licks and cat and them kind of things. So it was nice to get away with his wife, all the children, the grandkids and everybody. And just have a time where we 100% focused on relaxation, right? No matter what going on in work, we built our points where the business could take care of itself without either one of us being there every day. And salute to my brother Stefan as well, who's a big part of the company now, also newly minted director. And he on the trip too, you see, it's all hell could have break loose, but listen, we work hard for the last 18 years to make sure that we in a position where we could leave and the business will continue to run, Rome wouldn't burn down. Let me take this opportunity to salute my father and Site Up Limited for reaching 18 years of business. 18 years we're doing this, and it's amazing to see. So we went Dem Up. And as a man, let me tell you something about me and traveling, right? For all the traveling bantams who listen to the podcast all over the place when all they're on vacation. You see, connecting flights, I have a problem with that. I'm too old. First, I've gone and booked the flight. My little brother is 26 years old or some kind of little age, you know what I mean? Where he has all the energy in the world. And I just decide whatever flight he booked, I will go on that same flight. That was a mistake, because this man had me leaving my house to go in the airport 1 o'clock in the morning. That is not the time that I should ever be leaving to go anywhere. And we reached there 3 hours before the check-in time for the hotel in Dominican Republic after flying through Panama. I think it's 2.5 hours, 3.5 hours to Panama, and then 2.5 hours to Dominican Republic. Again, I had to say thanks to my sister, because left up to me, I go in Miami. 1 flight, 1 airport, and I come home. I can't take the connecting flight thing. And then even coming back home, if you're wondering why this episode now coming out, this man had me reaching home 3 o'clock in the morning. I had class to lecture from 8 a.m. to 5 p.m. As a man, I don't start classes late. I don't like to cancel classes and them kind of thing. But I had to message the class and say, hey, what's going on, Ollie? I can't make it, because I needed to get a little bit of sleep before I started that class. And that class is a master's class. Day 1 of the master's program. That class in the master's, I can't show up to these people halfway, and I feel a good show up halfway to a study class 10 instead of 8. And it was halfway. But let me tell you about Dominican Republic. We stay on an all-inclusive resort. That is something that after this trip I revisited. The idea of when you have young children, right? Our all-inclusive resort is the greatest thing ever invented, because these little children is the kings and queens of sip a Coke and put it down. Imagine if you was paying for every drink or paying for every meal when there's wanton wastage in these places. And boy, listen to this fella named Zachary eat every single thing inside. I never see somebody eat as much as this. He's eating 2 courses for every meal and then filling up a whole dessert plate to go and eat every single day. So this boy is now banned from all snacks and desserts for the rest of the vacation. He overdo it. He really went extra board. But we stayed at a resort called Grand Palladium in Punta Cana. I stayed at a Grand Palladium before in Jamaica. My sister stayed there too. And it was really nice. The rooms were real good. And I don't remember what was the food situation in Jamaica, which means it probably was middle of the road. It was great. It wasn't memorable, but it wasn't bad enough for me to remember either. And I know my sister stayed in Punta Cana in this resort as well, in Grand Palladium. And that resort has about 1,500 rooms. It's like 4 resorts in one. And I have about 1,500 rooms. Now, I want to tell you that my sister's surname is Cash, right? That is because she and her husband have loud cash. It's not a joke, but listen. Money like dirt, money like rain, you know what I mean? They have it. So they are upscale travelers. So when she tell me This is the place, this is the thing, this is the book, this is the link. I never heard the word link so much in my life. Send the link, there's the link for this, click the link, pay. But again, absolute for organizing it. But I know they have champagne taste and champagne pockets, right? So we went to this resort, but they stayed there before on the I think it's the adult only side of the resort. And then we stay on the poor side. I mean the family side of the resort, because there's everybody and the family and children involved and things. I can tell you this, listen. That place was hot. I don't know why it went on with Grand Palladium during that trip. The food, they had some restaurants you couldn't go to at all. There was one place open for lunch. It was in the open and it was very hot, very uncomfortable. Way too much people coming through that dining place. The food, when we first got there, we couldn't check in, of course, but they gave us the bands and we could go and eat and all that. So we went to eat, and let me tell you something. I thinking, but this food is not good. What is this? And nothing tasting good, nothing. So I say I will make a hot dog. You know these wicked Dominican Republicans? It's Vienna sausage they making the hot dog with. I so damn fast. I so damn. Big Vienna sausage. I tell myself. So that was a challenge. But we did find one restaurant in there, which something was going wrong with one of the restaurants because everything was pretty bad. But there was one restaurant called Las Torres. It's a little hike, right, to get to it. Because the resort is sprawling. Picture 1,500 rooms, all of them villas, right? It's not a building I talk about. You had to walk far to get to different places. Like one morning I walked to get to the gym. And I'm too tired to work out when I reach. the place too big. It was just huge. But there was one restaurant called Las Torres that was really, really good. And the food, the same food as the other place, but like they figure out how to cook it down on the Las Torres side. Like when them walk real far, the cooking skills is improved. Because once you walk down to that restaurant, it was pretty good. And then we had some other experiences. We did our family photo shoot for the first time. Salute to my sister again for organizing all that. We went to a mountain resort. What is it called that? We went and do zip lining. There's a place where you could go and do zip line and drive them little dune buggy through the bush and all these types of things. And you know what I mean? They organized a nice little tour. And that in itself was a scary experience to me. Listen. I don't want to song, so sorry to who will be offended by this, right? Including Trinidadians, but it have certain things that I don't like to do in third world countries, right? You see if your country, you see if your GDP is not above a certain amount, I don't play certain games because the safety thing, I can't take it. But all of we going again, we're going as a family. Remember the purpose of the trip, right? So from a family standpoint, I joined this thing, right? And I'm going on a zip line. Now, I want to tell you, they strap you up and all kind of things. People who do a zip line before might be think I sound like a fool, right? But I never do this and I frighten. I frighten from on the ground, right? And they strap me up in a harness, basically. Now, what keeping me going here is I have some little niece and thing is 20-something years old, little 20s too, and looking small like teenagers. I have some little brother and think them small, them little children, I know, baby. My little nephew, my son, I seen these fellas strap up to and nobody I the only man looking nervous. I frightened like hell because the tower you had to climb up on to do this thing, a big spiral step. I don't know like spiral step already. Spiral step just frightened me. And I had to climb up on this tower to do this thing. The tower blowing in the breeze. I done starting to feel third world standards already. I see this is very, 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 very. The tower insecure. The tower ain't past the Osh Act. Boy, listen. I gone up on this thing. You know what's the scariest part of it? When you reach up to the part where they have to hook you onto the zip line, it's a 2-step. Them men make them step out a plyboard. The man knock up that. It looked like somebody now finished make that while we was walking up the spiral step. So you had to stand up on these 2 pieces of plyboard step now for them to hook you onto the top of the zip line. And them men ain't have no gate or nothing. It's just an opening on a banister, an opening in a railing where you're hooking up to the zip. And I thinking, but this couldn't pass the safety act. This couldn't be right. Why you don't put something where until I hook up to a line, you have a gate or something preventing me? Because when you hook me up there, I watched something over the week that was scary too, right? I was watching, just scrolling through my phone when I had some downtime in the room. And I see Shaka Hislop on TV and just pass out. You see he losing balance and then he lose consciousness and pass out. And thank God Shaka good. Salute to Shaka. Hey, happy birthday to Latipi too as we passing on that, right? But you get a bad feeling, as we say in Trinidad. You get a bad feeling. We don't have no medical condition. No. We only know 2 medical conditions: bad feeling and gas pain, right? So if you get a gas pain or a bad feeling, and you lost consciousness, Chaka fall forward, such a frightening thing to see. And he say he just got a bloody nose and he okay. He went and got his checks. He good medically. So suppose I good medically like Shaka, I fit and strong and I athlete and I accustomed working long hours and things like Shaka. But I going up on these 2 plyboard steps now. Suppose I get a bad feeling. Suppose I get a gas pain and I double over. It's 25 stories down I falling. Why wouldn't you put something there that have a kind of gate or a net? Catch me. don't. But I frightened like hell. My knee shaking. But again, I see my stepmother, she going out there, salute to Christine. I tell myself she'll be frightened. I say, well, one man frightened is my father. I know he go turn back. And then what I would do is when he say he ain't going again, I say, well, I can't go either, for company policy. I would say, boy, listen, company policy. If daddy can't go, I can't. No, he can't go. But all of them went, and my son going out there. But listen, I frightened like hell. But they hooked me up on anything, and I'll tell you, it was good. I'm glad I experienced it. I like the little thrill of the zip line. I'll be doing it again. But I have a bunch of countries that I will do it in again. And they are called the G8 nations, the BRIC countries, whatever. All from, no. Not me again. Not me again. I enable. It's a little too scary for me, right? But we did that, and even the second part of the tour was like a dune buggy thing. Everybody should try that. That is actually a little bit fun to do, right? Because the dune buggies, again, the man who make the plyboard step make them dune buggy. You could see they weld that up by hand. It is. The dune buggy we driving is a 1 of 1. They men buy a motor in Price Mart and weld everything around it and buy some tire and burn it because the buggy and them rough. And it's a lot of road driving and thing, right? I don't like driving that much, so I wasn't too enthused about driving the thing until I jump in a car and I realize I in the passenger seat, my wife in the back seat, my father in the back seat behind me because the buggy holding 4 people, and the driver is my little niece. A young lady by the name of Asia, right? Now again, this is problematic for me because I know this child, a little child, she a baby, or she driving me. But I say, what is the worst could happen? What is the worst could happen? This is a guided tour. One of the man make the dune buggy. The man who make the dune buggy, he driving in front is about 10 cars going. I say, what is the worst that could happen? Well, brother, the worst happened because Asia mashing X to board and laughing. Every hole it have with mud, she is hitting that mud hard and splashing up that mud on everybody. I have contacts in my eye. I can't see. I'm watching back now. And then I said, the next thing I started to study is, where is my child? Because Asia, I know I'm in my last moments. And I can't remember who is Zachary godfather or the godmother or nothing like that, but I know me and Stacy dead. In this dune buggy, we dead. Asia is trying to kill me. She's trying to make sure that we go down. And them soldiers live. And you soldiers dead. So I started to say, well, where's my son? Let me just make eye contact with him for one last time. Only to make eye contact with this man in a buggy further up. And her sister, who is even younger than her, salute to Jada, she is driving the next buggy. Hello. I don't like it. And wise words all wrong the last week. I don't like it. But everything was safe. Everything was good. Let me tell you something. My brother-in-law, he buggy got flat. They had to change the tire. Then he buggy can't start. They had to change the whole buggy. Then we buggy shut down. It can't start. Listen, that man who Caribbean, that's always stressed out about 3 in the buggy can't start. Let me tell you something. Feel our makeup, right? We had to leave 2-3 buggy down in the bush because it can't start. This is far from where we do the zip lining now, right? A good drive down the road. And the man just put other people in other people's buggy and he jumped on the back of my, the buggy he was driving. He jumped on the back of that and he tell me, you drive. So he holding on to the back of that. Fall clean down in the mud is the funniest thing you ever see. But when we driving back to the thing now, I conscious of the fact that this man holding on to the thing, I don't want him to fall. And he telling me, I don't know if he telling me go or stop, or like the signals in Dominican Republic kind of off. Because in Trinidad, if you want a man stop, you say stop. But if you want a man slow down, you kind of give him a little. The signals are off because when he telling me slow down, I speeding up. When he telling me stop, I go on. It was all over the place. And hear this, right? When we on the last climb to go up the hill to reach back to the spot where we do the zip lining, I am X the board because they tell you mash gas all the way down to go uphill and don't mash no brakes, which means these things had too much of horsepower, right? I'm mashing and in the middle of the hill where I could see the home stretch. This buggy ain't moving. So I'm mashing and this thing making one side of the. You know what that man do? That man take a little bottle of like bleach thing with gas in it and pour in the thing while with the. And as he pour in the gas, he's mash again, oh, mash again. Oh. And I mash and we come up the hill. I tell you, listen. I want to go to the brick nations and have these types of experiences. And then they carry something, they say it have a specially made brew of liquor that we to drink called Mama Wana. They say the Mama Wana, good for the boy. They say when you drink Mama Wana, you're going to make Mama Wana. And all kind of sweet talk and thing. And that is when I realized when we went in a little souvenir shop that my thoughts about the country, like there's a lot of misconceptions. As is the case usually, right? Because if you've never been somewhere, and you read about places, it's just like people saying Trinidad has too much of crime and they don't want to come here and them kind of thing. But when you go to a place, you see what the reality of the place is. And I can tell you that, like, there's a lot of Haitians living in Dominican Republic. I'm not saying living like looking like asylum seekers or they integrated into the society. So I'm happy to be there and everything. So my disdain or dislike for the country based on maybe a couple BBC stories and stuff, I start questioning it immediately. So I'm happy I went so I could see some of the reality there. I'll definitely go back. I want to see more of the country and go in it. So I want to eat food out of a glass case with fly too. Let me see what the real food in the country is like. But we go on there as part of the tasting thing for the Mama Wana. Boy, the Mama Wana ain't doing one thing. That Mama Wana, no alcohol. The damn thing tasting like Ketrax. But I see people think and part of the culture. So we enjoyed. We enjoyed it as a family. It was a bunch of special moments and extremely memorable things that happened throughout the whole trip. And like I keep telling Daddy and everybody who was there, the things that memorable, right? And that we'll talk about and laugh about for many, many years to come are usually the things that go wrong. You know, sometimes you're planning something. And when you're planning, my sister is a planner. She get this whole thing together. My little brother Stefan, salute to him. This man is a planner. When we on the ground, it's like Janelle is the manager of the family and Stefan is the road manager. You know, when you have an artist, you have a manager who's do the bookings, everything. But you have somebody who's travel with the artist now to make sure the artist's good, they eat, they get everything on time, they ground transport, all those things. That is what Stefan is. Because Stefan, when we reached there the day, after he done make me wait whole day to get a room, I changed 3 rooms in the first 3 days because the first room, I think my sister put me in a handicap room become a footing good. But no problem with that. But the door swinging, the door for the washroom, it's a hotel room, right? It's our bathroom. But you ever watch the Cosby Show and them American sitcoms where between the living room and the kitchen, I always used to be fascinated by the kind of door they used to put there, where they could just swing the door in and then the next person come and they swing the door out and the door swinging both ways. I like that swinging both ways thing first. So I would have never imagined that the first time I see one of them doors in real life is the toilet door. The toilet door swinging both ways. I suppose the room built for somebody in a wheelchair or somebody differently abled or the different abilities. So it might make sense to do it like that. The bathroom had no culvert. But the problem is the shower and draining. So when Stacey done bathe, the whole place flooded out, the whole thing. We had to change rooms. When we change rooms now, late in the night, we started to get a sewer scent. It waking me up. I trying to play like I ignoring it. I close my eye tight like I want because I don't want to change rooms again. I'm tired, but we had to change and the third room was fine and everything. But you could see Grand Palladium is a older, like it just built a long time ago. You could see it's nice. The grounds is a very beautiful place and very scenic and a lot to do, a lot of facilities. But it's just built, it's just a little older. So the age on it showing. Time for them to start a refurbish and do over some rooms and those types of things. But stories like changing your room every 3 days, 3 rooms in 3 days, and stories like the dune buggy shut down and we had to bathe in the river and cold rain wet we down, we couldn't even do the horseback riding. Those are the stories that tend to endure. Or when we went in this restaurant, the food was bad, everybody laugh about that. I have a little brother, he just started, you know what I mean? We sit down around a table. And this man may know what it is he eat. Must be one of them Vienna sausage hot dog. He must be bite too hard. And he started choking. Nobody even realized he could have be gone. We see him late. And, you know, those types of stories, as much as they might be seen as bad in the moment or seen as... those were the first things that we could laugh at for years to come and the stories that endure. So I want to thank my sister personally. Sorry, I take a half hour to all the time. I want to thank her personally for doing this because she created a lot of these stories that will endure as well. First, I want to say that the stairs in the Cash household should be now deemed a public health hazard because last couple of years is Jonathan, my little brother, fall down the steps, heels and wheels coming down the step. He and 2 suitcases, one behind, one in front, and he sliding all the way down to the basement. And now the night before the trip, Janelle is tumbling down the stairs. And then clearly, she hit her head because when she reached in the resort, everybody having a good time. We now seeing each other for the first time in years. People now meeting each other because, they might know each other well who live abroad and them kind of thing. And then when I reached back to the first or the second room that we in, I think this first room we in, I get a call from my niece Jada, who's a FaceTime call to her. No, I see the phone ringing and it's Janelle calling me on FaceTime. So I answer the phone and I see video. Is her daughter now saying, Uncle Corey's where? Where's my mom? I said, what? I said, how you mean, where's your mother? Listen, the contrast between the accents is great. She's like, where's my mom? I say, how you mean where your mother? Where you mean where your mother? You ain't supposed to be on your mother phone? She say, yeah, but we don't know where mommy is. Well, boy, I say, Lord, this girl organized the trip, everything in place, and now, well, Stacy started to cry immediately. I wish I had answered with my headphones on. I should have never it's how some people in your family is never to tell nothing. Don't tell them, don't make them wise as to nothing happening. Because them in panic mode immediately. This girl started to cry. One time. I said, let me find her. It's a big resort. She could be lost. She could be doing something else. If she don't have a phone, she can't call anybody else. This girl lost for about 20 hours worth of walking around that resort, jump on some train that carrying you around the resort and lost like hell, don't know where she is. Take this into consideration, right? Of all of us who there, she's the only person who has been there before. And she lost like hell. She can't find her nowhere. So salute her. I mean, those are the stories that we will tell forever. And it was a real bonding experience for our family. And we had a special moment as well in the end. Before I get into Jack Warner and he couture, it was an opportunity for Daddy to close off the trip, say some nice words, hear from your grandchildren, everybody get a chance to say something about the trip and commit to the fact that it's now an annual trip. So next year, go have 51 episode because we have 1 week out already. But they try to make me make a speech and take away all my podcast content in the dumb rap. Them fellas are smarter than them fellas, and them fellas are going to set me up with that concern. I have my thing to talk about here. They're going to make me make a speech there. So that was that. And we back. I cannot guarantee or commit to not traveling again and missing another episode. I cannot guarantee it. But we here. I think I need a next vacation because Stefan is a man waking me up early. Stefan say, what time are you planning to have breakfast? Around 6:30? I was like, what? You know what's the meaning of vacation? But so maybe I need another vacation. I like just to relax and kick back. But from vacation to emancipation. I saw emancipation celebrations going on this week. I was too tired. I had to stay home and relax. I say tired and relax. I never went to emancipation village. I never watched an emancipation parade. None of them types of things. You know what I mean? I don't know if that brings my Africanness into question or what it does, but I know that is also a special time. My mother is a African queen. When you see she put on African clothes and things, you can't miss it. But she and all on vacation, you know what I mean? So emancipation celebrations, one of the things that stood out of all the things. I mean, there's a few things happening, right? Should I start with the serious stuff first? Let me make a change and start with something serious first, right? I saw and I'm gonna butcher this, right? So maybe I should just read and not try to talk from the top of my head for a change. From TTT, Prime Minister Dr. Keith Rowley received a courtesy call from His Majesty Otumfuo Osei Tutu II, the Asante at the Diplomatic Center St. Anne's today. That was on the 31st. He came in the country. So he's the head of the Ashanti Tribe, right? His Royal Majesty is the guest of honor at this year's Emancipation Day celebrations here in Trinidad and Tobago. The Minister of CARICOM Foreign Affairs, Minister of Foreign and CARICOM Affairs, Senator Dr. Amory Brown, Minister of Energy and Industries, Minister in the Office of the Prime Minister Stuart Young, and Randall Mitchell, whoever he is, sport and all that, Shamfa Kujo, whichever one of them is, were also represented at the meeting. So I saw him come in and hosted for Emancipation. I find it was a good look. I don't know nothing about the diplomatic relations. I'm never the place to come to for the serious part of the story, right? I always looking at the lighter side of things. So me know what it's all about. Me know what it had to talk about, where the deals are made and so on. What I know is that it was an interesting thing to see the contrast between his delegation and Rowlers' delegation, right? So as I say, Rowlers' delegation was Amory Brown, who's sort of dressing, let me call it Trinidadian version of Emancipation garb, because I'm not sure what is African wear, and I never buy a dashiki and none of them kind of thing. It makes me wonder how brainwashed I really am, because I like my little polo jersey, as you might know, and my jeans. I don't do much in style and things. It's either a polo or a t-shirt, and a polo is when I'm going to work. A t-shirt is when I keep this thing simple, but maybe I wear dashiki and a little, what is called the rest of the thing that they're wearing. But he was the only one who was wearing anything like that. And Randall Mitchell and Stuart Young in suit and tie along with Dr. Rowley. Shamfa Kujo in a high heels and a skirt kind of thing. And me know if the top she was wearing is African. Let me get you the benefit of the doubt because it's yellow, it green and red. You know what I mean? Maybe it's African inspired. But the members of the royal delegation from the Ashanti Tribe had on, and I hope you see it by now. If you didn't see it, just Google it, right? Just Google Rowley Trinidad Emancipation. You'll see I try not to say the word outfit, right? But I'm not a smart man. So whatever they was wearing, I don't want to be disrespectful, but it's different. It's unique. It's in other words, when you see this crew pull up, you're gonna have little doubt that they are. Where they come from. You're going to narrow it down fast to say that these people are African. And one of the funny things about the emancipation and our the way we treat it is that we talk about it as being a separation and a freedom and so on. And sometimes I wonder about celebrating the freedom that we were given rather than embracing the freedom that we took. Because we don't take some of these freedoms, we still feel that the parliament must look a certain way. I always remember Jared Yetming coming in what he said was formal Chinese wear and having issues in parliament. They say he looking not I don't want to say informal, but he not looking formally dressed, because we still see formally dressed as a double-breasted suit with a tie or a tuxedo and a hard shoe. If the thing hot in your foot, you can't wear it for too long. When this man and his members, the king of the Ashanti tribe, them fellas and them in slipper. These slipper would be selling on the drag. If the drag didn't bundle. Right? And I can tell you this, right? There was a time when we would have, and I'm talking about, tell me if I'm wrong, right? I'm talking on everybody's behalf because I don't want to put myself out there as the only person. There was a time when if you see people in this African wear that the king and his team was wearing, I try not to say tribes wear. Should I say tribe? If you see the tribal wear versus what Rowley and them wear, now mentally it looks to me like they look distinguished, they look regal, they look different, they look like look comfortable in their own skin, they look like they take ownership of their own identity. And when you watch Randall Mitchell, and with all due respect to Randall and Stuart Young and Rowley who in their suit, and even Emery who in a little dashiki thing, I find we look kind of buffoonish. We look kind of it don't look good. We look less. You understand? And there would have been a time, in my own lifetime where the reverse would have been the truth. In terms of my mentality would have been, listen, I will never win. And I mean, to a certain extent, my mentality is still like that, because I say in them fellas and them regal and thing, right? But me ain't win. I ain't win. Too much happening there. I don't know. And part of it for me is my perception of what is style, my perception of what is status, what will look good, what will be laughed at, what will be accepted, and all those types of things. Because I'm not wearing no drag, none of them sandals. I'm not wearing them. And maybe if Gucci or Dior or Prada, one of them had make it, maybe I would have considered. And I'm saying that to say that that is a dangerous mentality. You know what I mean? That's something that I had to explore within myself, or we have to explore within ourselves, where should those things matter? Is it that we afraid of our own identity, or we losing our own ability to grasp what is ours versus what we still feel we need to aspire to be, which is British? You know what I mean? Rowley and them look in this photo like they would have fitted more in the British uh, parliament or the British system or culture than they would fit in the African culture, which is his heritage, or even the Trinidadian culture. And it makes me wonder if these people could come and represent for themselves. They looking comfortable. I don't think they look feeling like if they putting on something like how Amy Brown feeling like he's celebrating something to put on. I wouldn't be surprised if I Google other pictures of them that they would be in very, very similar wear. I wouldn't be surprised if I get a chance to look in these fellas' suitcase. It make me wonder like what size of suitcase them is move it and how they iron some of these things, right? I don't know anything I don't know what is the situation, but they cool as ever. They shoulder outside, they in a slipper, they on some kind of headband. One man have a cane, that can't fit in no suitcase. That man have a cane, he height, you know what I mean? And they cool with what they have. And I wonder sometimes like, okay, what is our identity as Trinidad and Tobago? If we had to identify how we look, how we dress, how we behave, what royalty looks like to us, or what dignitary should look like in our culture. What's our casual way? What's our formal way? I don't know if we've ever developed it. I think we just envelope ourselves into those who had captured us. That makes sense? And I'm not sure if the solution or the freedom comes from identifying what is being done by the Ashanti Tribe and others in Africa and wearing what they wear, or I'm not sure if it comes in one day a year, putting on something that we buy somewhere that makes us feel more African. I'm not knocking any of them. I genuinely asking questions like we're not sure, because what I know is I personally further from it than many people who I talking about here, because I know we're in certain thing, right? And maybe that will change. Maybe one day you'll see me come on the podcast here, and I will tell all you, for those of you who's listening when you're on YouTube, when I come out in me, how they call the thing they wear in here, the hasi, I will be I will let you know so you could come and watch me. You know what I mean? And from then on I ain't wearing nothing else. But for now, it's a polo and a short pants could do it for me. Yes, but we've never clearly defined what it is. And I saw salute to my guy Damian Goofy Evans, right? I saw Goofy point out something which, to be honest with you, I wasn't even paying attention to. I know I was abroad, but I wasn't paying attention to it at all. Goofy say, in our buildings, in our regular government services that we pay taxes to receive, right? All the government services that we can access are paid for with the taxes that they take from my salary every month. 25% of it. And about 30% when your company make money too. And about a 1% of whatever you make in the green fund and business levy and them thing. All those, when the men collect them taxes and things, the services that we receive as a country and the buildings we go to access those services come from those funds that we pool together, right? And I cannot go dressed the way the king come here. And you know, I was going to say King Jeffrey Joffer. You remember he? But he and all have on a suit with a lion thing. This man had nothing Western on, right? So I think Goofy raised a good question here. Like, you stopping us from coming in our own country to receive services that we pay for because we have on slippers. I tell my story too much times about my walking boots when I couldn't get into the border inland revenue. You're telling a woman that they cannot come in there with their shoulder off. It have none of them who had two shoulder in this whole crew, this whole tribe or this whole team, all these dignitaries who come from the Ashanti tribe. Everybody have a shoulder outside, right? And they welcomed into the Prime Minister's residence, into every part of the everywhere that they went that honored them was several government buildings, including the Prime Minister's residence, which is right. Or everybody, toes is exposed, you know what I mean? Toes is exposed. Everything is outside. And if I was to go, it doesn't matter what business I run or what I do or how much podcast I do, how much I lecture. It doesn't matter what status I've achieved here. I cannot go into a government building in that slipper. I cannot go in the Prime Minister's residence in that slipper. Or to say it like this, right? Let's say when this podcast get wildly famous and we do great works and so on, and we get national recognition, I can't go to collect my Trinity Cross or however they call it thing. I can't go in a slipper, and if I do it, people are going to say I'm so disrespectful of the award, and I no respect for the thing, and I always used to call the man Rowlers, and now I get an award. And you understand what I'm saying? I wonder sometimes what is our own view of ourselves, and let me change that. I wonder sometimes what is my view of myself. How do I measure my own worth? How do I measure my own identity, my own culture, my own heritage, my own upbringing? How do I value it? Is it something that I value at all? Do I know what it is? I'm saying I to mean we, right? But I just want to personalize it because I probably further from this than most of the people who might be listening to this. But it was just an interesting contrast to see. But I was glad that they were invited and they came. I saw some discussions about about the Ashanti tribe and some of their history as it relates to the original cross-Atlantic slave trade. But we ain't gonna get into that now, right? We will just celebrate the fact that they were here. I hope to see more of that. I hope to see more of that outside the emancipation time too, because I feel like there's more we could learn and gain from leaders like this. Just in terms of our sharing and our stories, sharing our heritage, understanding theirs and so on. There's more that we could gain from it outside of emancipation time. And if we continue to do it only at emancipation time, it feels like if we put it on a show. And my last thing on this is I really want to see one of these days, right? I see Trudeau. They say Trudeau now separate, or Biden fall down again, or who running England now? Is Truss? She resigned. What do you next one name? The COVID party man. He get fired. Who running over there now? Who running France? Sarkozy? I want one of the days come when one of these leaders from one of these countries, particularly the European colonizers, right? When they come here, I want to see Rowlers or Kamlas or whoever in charge next. I want to see them dressed like this. And fellas, coming my way, we can dress however the hell we want. Probably should put on the golf clothes and welcome them one day, but probably not, right? Another thing that happened during Emancipation, I'm reading from the Express here. It says Savannah standoff. Oh, there was something else I needed to talk about here? Oh, yeah. So Savannah standoff. This was just before Emancipation, right? And there's another thing that was just passed by in this article that I found to be real interesting. It read, vendors who operate along the strip of the Queen's Park Savannah are refusing to move their stalls to another area of the Savannah to make way for upcoming Emancipation celebration. So when the men and them had to pass through in the nice little garb, regal wear, Wingsman and them want to move. Corn Soup man say they ain't moving. They, you know what I mean? They want their things sell, right? This is even after the Ministry of Agriculture, Land and Fisheries agreed to allow them to use a strip of the Savannah opposite Jerningham Avenue and to provide tower lights and platforms for their stalls. So what they were basically going to do is leave the Savannah, the track, free for the procession so that they could go across and use Jerningham Avenue. Now, some masquerader got to tell me, because I tell already this year that I didn't cross the Savannah stage, but don't they move when it's carnival time anyway? And they had to take one of the booths along the perimeter of the Savannah. When them big bands passing through the Savannah, it have no Corn Soup man and them kind of thing right next to it. I know Royal Castle, who is not there during the course of the year, has a booth, or KFC or one of them close to when you reach the stage. And they set up a stand and all that and place for onlookers. Don't they move usually? But anyhow, they're refusing to move here. Michael Williams, the head of the Association of Local Culinary Ambassadors, which represents the vendors, has called on the vendors to let good sense prevail. Salute to you, Michael Williams. Monarch of the Ashanti Kingdom, the Asante Otumfuo Osei Tutu, the second of Ghana, will be the guest of honor at this year's celebrations being hosted by the Tourism Right. We said that already. Ready? Emancipation celebrations will kick off tomorrow morning when the express of Savannah. We are standing our ground, one vendor shouted. Sharon Quinlan, owner of Sharon's Bacon Shack, said on Tuesday the Ministry of Agriculture informed vendors that they had to be relocated for 7 days. She said vendors were given until noon to move. All the years we've been here during Emancipation, we add to the Emancipation Village. I have no doubt about that, Sharon. Quinlan said the ministry initially suggested the vendors move their stalls to the Savannah entrance close to TGI Fridays. But this was not feasible as that area becomes waterlogged after heavy rainfall. We visited there today. It's a pool. Some of the vendors are here to cook on spot. Water and heat don't mix. Okay, Sharon. Quinlan said the second suggestion was for vendors to use the Savannah space opposite Jerningham Avenue. But this could not work as it did not fit over the 40 stalls. So they went back and forth for this for some time, right? More quotes from her. My thing is, why do we have to move when we add to the celebrations? For Carnival and Independence Day, they ask us to move, but for Emancipation, we are usually allowed to stay. Further quoted as saying, what is the reason behind us moving? I have respect for the man who is coming, who is a dignitary, but how are we hampering that? What are these people going to do to pay their bills? We need some place where it makes sense to be reasonable and fair. I want to get to the part of the article that I see that was standing out. Maybe it's a different article I read it in, because I read somewhere that these people are using these spaces rent-free. Like, they are allowed to use these spaces, so there's no rent that is paid for that little food court in the Savannah, right? Oh, look at here. Speaking to the Express via telephone last night, he expressed disappointment at the vendor's response. I believe this is. Just want to make sure that I'm quoting the right person. Let me read on. Right, reasonable and fair. Williams arrives soon after to inform the vendors of the ministry's final decision. He said he had earlier met with Agriculture Minister Kazim Hossain and Director of the Horticultural Services Division, Gloria Braffett. He said that the ministry allowed the vendors to use the strip of the Savannah opposite Adjudinger Avenue. If they can all fit, they will let them use it. The left and right of the strip on the grassy area, they will provide modules and they will also provide additional lighting. But the group of vendors loudly objected, saying they could lose customers if the grassy areas become waterlogged and muddy. After a back and forth with the vendors, Williams eventually walked away from the group. I believe is Williams the man who is the union leader for them? I just want to make sure I have this right. Yeah, Michael Williams is the head of the Association of Local Culinary Ambassadors, who represent the vendors, right? So Williams trying to let better sense prevail, but they're balling at Williams, so Williams busts out. Speaking to the Express in a telephone interview last night, Williams expressed his disappointment at the vendor's response. He said, "We have to strike a compromise. This is government property. We're here every day, and if they ask us for 2 or 3 days to move so that they could host something, then we have to let good sense prevail. In all fairness, we don't even pay a rent or user fee for here." This is when you know you're living in the greatest country they ever create. Did you know that these people wasn't paying? Am I the only person surprised by this? These people not paying no rent for these spaces, right? And this again is the same thing I'm talking about the Dominican Republic, right? In developing nations, should I stop saying third world? In developing nations, we have a mentality that is crazy to me sometimes. You go all over the place. I remember going Fort Lauderdale a couple of years ago. They have a farmers market and thing. Everything bubbling in the farmers market, food. As we break the corner, the first thing we see is a big Trinidadian flag, right? So we, from Trinidad, we just glad to see Trinis in this part of Fort Lauderdale that don't seem to, it's not the city center or anything like that in our farmers market. We see Trinis, we say, hey, what you have? We come to, we now setting up. Everybody else ready to sell it now, but them, oh no, we now setting up. Just give you about a half hour, and it just shows you it's just a mentality, it's a culture thing. This is why we had to have we own wear, we must have our own wear. We have our own tribal wear and our own traditional thing. So that when you see that, you know you're gonna be late. Wherever, if you see a taxi driver with that, you know you're late. A pilot, you know you're late. It's just a mentality we have, because you place there for free, which is a bad idea in the first place, because you see the idea behind freeness. I find it have a certain amount of irresponsibilities come along with freeness. You give people them thing for free and they treat it anyhow. If you have to pay for it, you have a different mentality when you go there and a different type of person looking for that space. Or even the same person sees themselves differently if they're paying a rent and they have it. So you live in there rent free. You're charging going market prices for your food. So it's not like because you rent free and you don't have that expense, you now charge much less for wings than another wings man who's selling on the avenue and have rent to pay. You charging the going rate. Some of them have a branch in the food court there and have thing in other places where they might be paying a rent. Them charging one price for the thing. So the consumer not benefiting from that. I think it's a great initiative because I've been there on a Sunday evening and I feel like those are better solutions to crime than shoot them up and light up everybody and all them kind of, I think those are better crime solutions than what being suggested in a lot of ways now. And if you go there on an evening, you will find people flying the little kites, who bring the train, they playing, they riding bike. That's the kind of stress relief that the nation needs. So I welcome initiatives like those. But I always wonder, why do we do things for utility only? You're setting up some food stalls and things. Why you can't do something that, whether it's permanent or semi-permanent or temporary, you do it nice, you mark off the areas nice, you give the vendors some guidelines so that we know what type of food selling, what ain't selling. They have a sanitary spaces. People could use a washroom comfortably and with dignity. And more importantly than all of that, or as an overlay to all of that, you make it beautiful. Make it somewhere that people want to go and take pictures and post on Instagram and make, you know what I mean? So that Savannah food court now becomes an attraction. I looking at them, the way they're doing things in Dominican Republic, them doing things in a way where that is an attraction. You know, everything they do is built around tourism and attraction and those types of things. Where we just had to build it for ourselves. You know, we don't even have to study tourism. Because I think every time you travel to a real tourist destination, you realize how much of a joke our idea of tourism is, right? But build it nice, build it beautiful, build nice backgrounds. But if it's tent, make all the tents so pretty that you can't help but feel good when you walk into that space, and a vendor feeling good when you go there. And everybody all the patrons and things, is an exciting place to be looking forward. A matter of fact, if you never even go in when you drive past, you must see it looking nice. But nah, we have a set of old tent with footprints on top of it and yellow. Is a yellow and a white stripe, then a red and a white stripe, and then our next man pull up, he think he had Digicel. It's like, why we do things like this? We have no pride. You know, pride in the way we do things. No, what is that really? And I think that is really just more and more lost opportunities. You just have this utility approach. Meaning, when I say utility approach, I mean you're just building it because, okay, it's a food court. It serves its purpose. Goodbye. I see we do the same thing on Maracas on the beach. We build, yes, you get them buildings where they could do their bacon shack and thing, but oh my God, this is the same bacon shack that would attract what the man name who used to eat all kinds of things, George Zimmerman or something like that, and Anthony Bourdain, and this is the same thing that was like world famous or Western Hemisphere famous or famous, and it could be even more famous when you bring. But oh God, build it and give we our identity in it now. Give it a Trinidadianness now. You build a HDC house for them to go and make the bacon shack out of, and it's a house. You know what I mean? It's a house, so you can't fault them. It's built for utility only, and I wonder sometimes if we don't do it, but. You can't do them things if you don't want to charge people a rent. This is a business they're running. This is not a handout. We have this real handout mentality. And it speaks, you're seeing it rooted in the campaigning for the local government election. It's a handout. It's a who could get and who could thing and who could, and it's a PNM, so I must get thing, and you ain't seen power now, so me must get thing, you know what I mean? And it's a stupid mentality that, all right, PNM power, all this selling this corn soup and them kind of things, so now you ain't seen power, you had to get a roti thing and that. It's just tribal and stupid mentality that's come around election time. And when you look at this, just not paying no rent. Charge the people rent. Charge them rent. Beautify the place. There's a certain amount that you have to pay as a business to make your thing comfortable for everybody else. Because every wings man can't go there and put up a washroom. It's impossible to do. So instead of doing it like that, make sure that you could get a facility there that people could use with, again, with dignity, make the place nicer. You know what I mean? And pay rent, pay away. It's a business. You're going to get better. It's like steel sharpen steel. We're trying to make these things so... We're trying to make them easy in all the wrong ways by handing it out to people. Make it easy by charging them a rent, putting the infrastructure in place, and let them compete. Let the best be able to be there. But anyway, that's what it was. I was very surprised. I just wanted to highlight that and show how those things are such a part of our mentality. There's a certain amount of pettiness. And the pettiness continues too. Because instead of highlighting how good these people look, and you know what I mean, the Emancipation Parade and what was in it, I salute to my guy who married Ashby. I see a lot of praise going out for him for his truck on the road for the Emancipation Parade. And in his words, they say, listen, if you ain't come to learn nothing today by the wrong truck, go and check truck one. You know, so he holding up the tradition and so on. But instead of all that being the highlight is that Rowley have a Richard Millie. Rowley watch worth 2 million. So somebody in their wisdom, and with it, you know what I mean, as I also like the old people, your camera or phone. Somebody take their camera or phone and video Rowley now with the Richard Millie in his hand and talking about the Prime Minister doing a $2 million watch. You know, the Richard Millie is PNM red to go with his PNM red dashiki and all them things. Man look good. And you have 2 million. Well, I guess somebody Google the watch and see it costing upwards of 200,000 US. So they say wearing a house on your hand, $2 million for your watch. Well, Rowley enjoyed that. By the time the opposition and everybody started to talk about it, Rowley say it's a SAR bomber watch. TSAR bomber. In other words, is a Amazon knockoff. Now, it makes me wonder, like, would you feel comfortable if the Prime Minister wearing a $2 million watch? Would you care? And I feel like if all the services in the country was running right and things was running smooth and crime was under control, this could still be like ammunition for political football. Like people will just say, oh, you're using $2 million on your hand, because people are never satisfied, as the economics will tell you. So no matter how smooth this country running, and if we have zero crime, our mentality and our politics will still be, look, yeah, watch your hand. Yeah. And I think to myself, well, this man making money, this man, none of these people in politics are no pauper. If there were no accusations of corruption, would we be comfortable with what Rowley wearing a $2 million watch, or are we uncomfortable because they thiefing? You know what I mean? All these other thiefing PNM. And listen, the greatest place in the world is Instagram comments and things, because there's a certain amount of defense that going on to say, well, what wrong if the man saying he's a dignitary and this and that and the other? And then the next side saying he's a thief and he think $2 million and then playing golf every day and all the types of things. Only to come back and hear the Prime Minister say, here we go, a cheap watch, you know. This watch costs $300-400 US. No. My question too is, why would he buy this garbage for $200-400 US? You know what I mean? You could have just get yourself a good little G-Shock. Like, what is this bomber thing? But I guess it looked nice with your PNM red and things. So salute to Dr. Rowley. Salute to the boss. The boss having a good time and enjoying himself. I mean, how you could fight that? No. That was pretty much Emancipation in a nutshell. No, that is all that happened with Emancipation. Salute to everybody who was involved in things. I want to jump back into the local government elections real quick, because I only a little discussion about what is happening with your boy Jack. Because when we last spoke, it was just announced that Jack is back. And Jack going to be with the UNC, right? And I told you all that on the UNC Monday Night Forum, Jack was going to come and talk. Jack was supposed to come out and address people and say, well, all right, this is the situation. This is what we do. This is how I'm coming back. What it's going to look like and all that. And true to form, he did. He come out and he let it be known what his return will look like, what exactly he's going to do and stuff. And one of the most instructive things that happened is that he has announced that the ILP is no more. So reading from The Guardian by Gail Alexander, it says the Independent Liberal, that is what ILP had mean? Independent Liberal Party. You know, I never even study what I mean, I just know ILP. The Independent Liberal Party will be dissolving, so its members will be free to join the UNC. So the members are no brain. When you dissolve, all right, okay. Following Monday's UNC/NTA meeting with ILP founder Jack Warner, the ILP's general secretary, it's that Indra Marad said she must even do nothing to do that. She's shocked when Jack called. Said yesterday the party would call a membership meeting and bring to an end the party. On Monday, ILP founder Warner appeared on the political platform with UNC/NTA. Hey, Gary Griffith is a genius, you know. The fact that they're being referred to as UNC/NTA is a stroke of genius by Gary Griffith, because by any stretch of the imagination, no party that Gary Griffith formed 2-3 months ago when he didn't get the commissioner work should never be mentioned next to a political party that is should I say second most popular? But it's only 2 recognizable sustaining parties in this country, which is PNM and UNC. And now Gary gave himself as like UNC/NTA. Any outsider or anybody looking on would think that these 2 entities somewhere near the same level, and they're really not. But anyway, the UNC-NCA platform at the Center of Excellence, promising to wear monogrammed UNC shirt when he has earned the right to do so. So he just wear a yellow shirt. He input the UNC. See, Jack and them a real politician. Jack say, I will only put on the monogram when I earn the right to put on the monogram. For now, I just put in yellow as a supporter. Genius. Which one, but they probably just tell Jack, hey, we don't want no more shirts. And Jack said, don't worry, I'll go talk to them. He also announced that he would convene a meeting to disband the ILP to reintegrate its members into the UNC. Hey, power is a hell of a thing, boy. This man telling you outright, I make this party to take your supporters and I'm going to disband this party to bring back your supporters. So yeah, ILP followers are no bring. I also feel ILP are no followers. But the ILP was found in July 2013 by Warner when he was not reselected by UNC as a candidate for Chaguanas West. In a media release, Marad said, Ms. Kamla Prasad-Bissessar and the United National Congress have been fighting tirelessly to remove the PNM. The ILP shares this vision of the UNC for better TNT, for a land when people can feel safe to do so again. where food is affordable, where healthcare saves lives. It is now time for the ILP to join forces with the UNC to achieve their objectives. So Jack made his appearance, and I want you to listen to why he had to love local politics. Right? If you're on YouTube, you could watch it, right? I'll put it in a video. But you had to understand why local politics is one of the greatest things ever invented. For those who only listen, what I'm going to play for you here is the entrance of Jack Warner into that Monday night forum. Let me tell you something. This is the greatest place on earth, right? So you see, well, what I want you to notice too is you see all the man security holding them up. Jack is 1,000 years old, you know, so you can't really, you gotta be careful. You gotta hold this man with kid gloves, you know what I mean? Jack could get a bad feeling or a gas pain anytime it could be over, yes. But when I watch Anil Roberts holding on to this man tight, he holding on to the man tight, raising his hand in victory and everything, right? And you see him greet Gopi Singh. Then he reach up to the two bosses. So the two bosses is clearly now in video games when you meet the boss, then the bigger boss. The boss is Gary Griffith and the bigger boss is Kamla. So clearly they tell themselves Gary Griffith have enough political cachet along with Kamla Prasad Biswas, and when you add Jack Warner to that mix, they have a formidable force. I have to think that this is not about local government election, but is a long play for the general election. The biggest question is, can these fellas stay together? Will they be able to stay together? What's so instructive, right, is when you see Anil Roberts and Jack Warner back again, right? And everybody who I see posting about this was like, look at this, we back here again. These people crazy. And men supporting it again, people who stand to directly benefit from this, corrupt or otherwise, I can understand why they go there and they ring bell and they support and they make sure they blow vuvuzela and all them kind of things, and you know what I mean, ensure that you're good to go, right? People who benefit directly from the other side, corrupt or otherwise, I could understand why no matter what they do, you will oppose it. The people who I don't understand is the impartial people who are enamored by these things, or these things give them hope or inspiration. You know what's the most instructive part about this for me? Only hear this song that they choose to play. I tell you, them fellas forget the governing. Them fellas forget they're working for somebody else. You know? They don't care. And it's so glaring when they go into election mode that they don't care. Just tell me what it is. They say, we don't care about all you. We care about ourselves. We come in there to take over the control, so that instead of them fellas taking public funds and making it into private pockets, we come in to take over that. I want you to listen to the song that they choose to bring Jack Warner into, right? Listen to this as an impartial. Don't listen to it as a PNM or a UNC. Listen to this so they understand how much these people taking me for fools. The name of this song is The World is a Cycle by Richie Spice. Listen to this.
Everything around me, yes, it's gonna be that circle. Going round
and every breath you make. I'm talking to you. Because the little things you do is coming back at you. I'm talking to you.
The ditch you dig, it might just be a destiny.
I'm talking to you. I might just rise above the odds, regain my victory. Do right, do right, do right, do right. The world is a cycle, going round and round, round and round.
And everything around me has to go round in a circle.
Going round and round, round and round, round. The world is a cycle, going round and round, round and round. And everything around me has to go round in a circle, going round and round, round.
Hear what you say, hear what you say.
Remember to pray. You find your day, chase the devil away. In everything you do, remember to pray. A little prayer a day, chase the devil away. In everything you do, remember to pray. A prayer a day, chase the devil away. In everything you do, remember to pray. A little prayer a day, chase the devil. So if I see you stumble, I'll catch before you fall. I'm talking to you. You say the world is round and it's spinning like a ball. Talking to you. Who have eyes to see? Let them see. I'm talking to you.
So we have a man say, the man say, what drop on head fall on shoulder? What fall from head drop on shoulder? Who have eyes to see? Let them see. Okay, listen. Salute to Jack Warner. Jack Warner is back in the, I just, when I hear this song they choose to play, I say, well, boy, all the fellas ain't care again, all the let it be known. Because Richie Spice basically saying that, listen, it ain't nothing new under the sun. Everything you see here, you will see again. And they back. So it's like, wherever we fall out, it doesn't matter. We put them things behind us, and the electorate and the just observers, and we tend to, generalizing it here, the general public here seems to just not care and not be bothered by any of this. And Jack Warner is officially back walking. I saw him walking with Macamillion and them down in Marbella. Them walking in the rain. Them Jack can get ague in his bones. I leave this old man home alone. Like you're watching a documentary about him on Netflix. And they were talking about him bringing Mandela here and why they're doing this old man. That they really say everything you do is really what you're doing unto yourself, you know, because the fact that he wasn't bothered by bringing an alien and Asian Mandela to Trinidad on a long flight and parading them up through the Oval and all them kind of thing. It just tells you what he would do to himself. A rumor have it that, you know what I mean, extradition talks picking back up. So Jack looking for parliamentary seats so that they can arrest him just so again. But I mean, salute to Jack Warner. Salute to all the ex-ILP supporters and all the new UNC supporters. I like all your, I mean, all the feeling good, all the looking good, you know what I mean? Emblems is on the way. And salute to the NTA and Gary Griffith. You know what I mean? Like Gary Griffith, I underestimated was Gary Griffith's role in this alliance. It was my belief that UNC really didn't need him. He wouldn't need them much more. But it seems as though he's an instructive part of this campaign. And Jack Warner has a lot of cachet with people still, as does Gary Griffith. If you judge by comments alone, you would see that a lot of people still feel Gary Griffith is the solution to crime. The only person who feels so is Rhoda Barrett, because, I mean, she might as well pay his salary at this point in time. But the general consensus is that Gary Griffith is the man. You know what I mean? Bring back Gary. That is the only solution we have for crime. Superhero status is what Gary have. And Jack Warner has superhero status. I myself, I would rather he go back TTFA. Let me see if he could qualify for the next World Cup. But he definitely has it. They always talks about him as the best Minister of Works we ever had. They had some things he do under Minister of Works, which I find was the greatest up to today. And maybe you put him back if he could do those types of things. But, I mean, there's your heavy hitters there. But Gary Griffith's cachet or his input to the UNC's drive for general elections, I think, but local government elections at this time, is showing no more than in the statement from Kamla Bisasa that says, light them up, empty the whole clip. Light them up and empty the clip. That is Kamla Prasad Bissesso's call for dealing with all these criminals and so on. I want to just, before I get into this, take a minute to salute the Trinidad and Tobago police service for a minute, because you knock them all the time. But the Trinidad and Tobago police service reports are released recently that said 110 persons have been arrested over the last 8 months in connection with the reports of home invasions, as investigations continue to intensify efforts to restore safety and security across the country. I like when I see stories like this. It's just totally out of context for me, because I don't know what it is as a percentage of home invasions. I don't know how much people get hold last year in the same amount of time, but I'm going to take it for granted and make the assumption that this means they ramp up on this and they're paying particular attention to it and making sure that, because that is, outside of all the other things we deal with where crime is concerned, that is one of the most scary parts. But Kamla Prasad Bissesso.
6. Burial time, K. J. Deal with it. St. Paul bus big gun.
Yep.
Low place bus big guns.
UNC bus big guns. Gary bus big guns. Kamla bus big guns.
St. Paul no bus no little auntie. Mac 90 light take care. All my dogs are murderers.
Yes.
Tall rifle with no boat man. 6 gun full of machine like cuts and standard. This mob's a J man proceeded in the land.
All right. Tell you what going on. Salute to Rebel 6 and rest in peace. Bad young artist. But Kamla Prasad Bissessa on the campaign trail basically come out with this thing that say light them up. Light them up. Opposition leader Kamla Prasad Bissessa made the remark while speaking at a UNC public meeting in Chaguanas on Monday. Chaguanas nonetheless light them up tongue self. What are 6 and 7s? I should say these numbers. Where she reiterated her party's position regarding licensed firearms for citizens. Referring to an incident over the weekend where a Chaguanas woman killed a suspected bandit who was allegedly attempting to enter her home, Prasad Bissessa said citizens must be given the opportunity to defend themselves. She said, when criminals invade your home, draw your licensed firearm and light them up. Empty the whole clip. Reload. Empty the whole clip again. We have to fight fire with fire.
Try running a rifle war. St. Paul no bus no little hunting. Mac 90 light take care. All my dogs are murderer.
She said this is why more law-abiding citizens must be given legal firearms. Why we must have stand your ground laws so this woman will not be charged. The opposition leader's comments have garnered the mixed views from social media reviewers, some of whom have expressed concern about the use of excessive force. Now, listen. I always say to laugh and we'll talk, but you can't tell me now that Gary Griffith is not that interesting. I mean, Gary Griffith is a man. This is not coming from nowhere. You also can't tell me that these people ain't go back right to Cambridge Analytica and them and get some things together, because the idea of words important, right? So when they say things like stand your ground laws, it speaks to something, right? And they have, for a long time, you could trace back UNC campaigns to a lot of the campaigns that we might have seen in the US political race at several levels, right? Not just like federal or national elections in the states, but even like state elections. Some of the rhetoric comes from somewhere. And the idea of stand your ground laws is basically where, if for instance you are attacked or assaulted in any way, you are legally, you have the legal right to retaliate, right? And meet force with equal force. Or in some stand your ground law states, meet an attack where you feel like your life is under threat. Meet that with deadly force. And you see it a lot. So, well, when I say you see it a lot, what you see is big issues with cases like those when the two people are of different races in the states. When you see a white man standing ground against a black man, is a big issue. Or vice versa, and people want to see how it's done. People want to see what happens with police as well, and police killings and so on, when police can get off on all these types of things. So this is the term stand your ground laws already has controversy behind it. And when you look back at their efforts or their guidance that they would have received, or they said was received from Cambridge Analytica, Cambridge Analytica is just a data analytics company, right? They basically taking public opinion through scouring social media of large data sets and trying to understand how people will respond to different things. You tend to find that the people who work with Cambridge Analytica tend to have controversial viewpoints, because controversial viewpoints go further on the internet than non-controversial ones, right? So if you have a very abrasive stance on something, or a take, so for instance, I usually talk in a very middle of the road way. That is not very popular with people, and a balanced discussion is not as popular as one that goes way left or way right, ultra conservative or ultra liberal, if you want to put it like that, right? Those things tend to get more traction online because, of course, it will offend some people and they will respond, and some people will dig their heels down because they believe in it as well, and you tend to find that causes a clash, especially on social media comments, right? So the idea of the standing ground law, this is just brand new to me. I'm not sure if everybody saw this coming, but it seems as though just over the last week, you find that a statement like that made on a political campaign by the political leader is not, that would be planned and curated. That is not by guess, it's not by chance. I am not sure, I might have missed it, but that's not a rhetoric that I have heard her say before, or certainly not heard her say anything like that as openly as that, where she talking about a specific case with somebody and then saying she agree, light them up, that woman should not be charged. No, understand that this woman, should they win a general election, that is, she is going to be prime minister. So if she said this is what she wants, that's how the country likely to run. Because I mean, she can issue a firearm user license, the police supposed to issue that, but hey, you think the police and the parliament are completely separate, or you feel like there's direct influence over the police force by the political leader? What do you think? Because one of the men in her party basically come out and say that the prime minister was telling him what to do, and he had to fight back against that. And you know his stance on it. He has an issue now, or at least accusations about issuing firearms or bypassing processes and having several more dealer licenses issued than we ever had before. And when you hear him talk, he seems to be of the opinion that more people should have legal firearms. He like the idea of arming ourselves. He himself is known for having a arsenal, you know what I mean? So this is where I'm not sure. Again, every time I come back to this firearm thing, I'm not sure what's my take on it, because I mean, I am glad that that woman was able to defend herself, and it's not a good ending to a story when somebody invades somebody's home and then they get killed. I don't see that way. A lot of people find a happy ending. I find that a terrible story. I think many families, including that woman who killed that person, would be affected for a long time and need help. But I feel it's a better story than they invade the woman's house and kill her, you know what I mean? My ideal in utopic world would be where nobody don't want to invade nobody's house. How do we get there? Is a better discussion for me than the discussion where I had to keep some arms just in case somebody come here and I gun them down. But this is new. This is new for Trinidad and Tobago. I must say that even if you wanted to say Gary's viewpoint on firearms was a more open one, where he believed that people, I don't remember Gary talking like this or saying things like this openly. He used to call little people roach and all them kind of things from time to time, but even in that, it was fine. You found that he was talking more about law enforcement. I don't think I've ever heard a political leader or somebody as high up as Kamla Bissessa come out and say something like this. So I think she catch everybody by surprise, especially. Should I say that it was different? It was strange to hear from a woman too. That might be bad to say. It was odd for that the first person who said this was Kamla Bissessa, but boy, all the thing they were saying about her, about political, her popularity as a politician and all those types of things, this might put her right back in the game, you know? Because she out there with something controversial enough where she is the topic of discussion for the country. I mean, people going in two different ways, but maybe it's better to be polarizing in politics than it is to have people. Ambivalence is where you fear most, I suppose, where people don't care about what you're saying or they even know you make a statement. But this is going to cause me to pay even more attention to what's happening here, because this is not a local government election discussion. The idea of arm yourself and stand your ground and light them up and those types of things. I want to see if that was just a statement in the moment that it started, or is this driving a campaign? if this is driving a campaign, if anything like this is repeated on the Monday night forums, on the walk-arounds, or all those things, we definitely know that this party is in full general election mobilization mode. I think we could safely assume too that they are when you see Jack Warner and Gary coming out. I mean, them fellas not interested. The only big boy interested in local government is is Faris. You know what I mean? He get relegated to that. But other than that, it's not something that is a high priority for any of these folks. They looking at what the government election, the local general election look like. So one to pay attention to, right? One to pay attention to. I don't exactly have an opinion on it yet. Because, you know, every time I bring up this idea of firearms, I am completely on the fence about this. I don't know which direction to go. All praise to you if you figure out which direction to go and what you want to do. And I don't know if I want to be there. And even in more talk about the political or directorate controlling the police. You don't find it strange that all of a sudden Dwayne Gibbs it's like when he come out, like who is Dwayne Gibbs' name was? What was his name? Dwayne? Only remember the Canadian commissioner they had, Dwayne Gibbs and he Watsky. Like Watson and what do you two name? Or Danger Mouse and Penfold. I don't know. They just come out and I believe it would have been under the People's Partnership that Dwayne Gibbs was the commissioner of police. And I remember them discussing how much money making. The figure that come into mind is like something like $100,000 or something like that. But I'm probably wrong about that, right? I can't remember. But Dwayne Gibbs and his partner was a police commissioner, and I just find it strange. I'm not sure if it's the media reaching out to him for comment. And I suppose if Earl there and she stopped talking to the media, and Stephen Williams ain't wake up from his slumber, so from since he leave, and McDonald Jacob fall asleep right by Stephen Williams, and Burroughs dead. I suppose he had to find some commissioner, and Gary Griffith campaigning, so we had to go back to Gibbs. I just find it strange that now his name reappearing in the... Them fellas completely mobilizing. The will is a cycle. So I see on CNC3 News, and this is not the only place I saw this, because I also saw another article by the Newsday. So it said, former Commissioner of Police Dwayne Gibbs says Prime Minister Dr. Keith Rowley should be cautious about a vetted unit in the Trinidad and Tobago Police Service as it could lead to corruption. I ain't getting into all that he say, right? Because, I mean, his argument is nothing unique is what he says. So in other words, what I'm saying is that even in his response didn't seem newsworthy to me. It didn't seem that special. It didn't seem warranted. It feels as though, like, what you call him for? Like, what you call him to say? Is he saying something that is unique? Has he done something great somewhere else? Is he in Trinidad, like he passing through? Like, what is the sudden need to get word from Dwayne Gibbs on what Rowley doing as a prime minister? I find that odd. I just find that a little bit odd. You know, a little bit. And then these and the one on the news there was about a year ago, where he again quoted as saying, "Nah, I would not call no state of emergency. Calling a state of emergency might be something like that." And I was like, who asks you? Who asks you? And maybe as reporters, you know, but is there a separation between the political directorates and the media, or do we have media plants in the media plants from the political directorate who run stories that are beneficial to the campaigns of the parties? I don't know. I'm not sure. I don't know. But I just find it odd. Like, why is this? Who talking to Dwayne Gibbs? Like, who was home saying, I wonder what Dwayne Gibbs thinks right now when Rowley is wearing a Richard Milley watch. Dwayne, Rowley wearing a Richard Milley, where you feel T-fit? It's just odd. It's just odd. And it looks like, again, joining all the forces together that would have worked for them in 2010. So, I'm saying all that to say, look out for Prakash Ramada. If it is we had Dwayne Gibbs, Gary Griffith, Jack Warner, and Robert, Prakash Ramada is on the way back. That's why them fellas say they don't got this. You think he have a little bit, you have anything in him that he could come back? So, this squad looking like if they're back in the game, and they are serious contender. I mean, I guess they were always serious contenders once you have the UNC, but the initial discussion in the first couple of weeks of announcing the local government election was whether Kamla is the right person, how much election she lost. Well, that talk dead. That talk is dead. I think Kamla is definitely the person to run them through this local government election. And with the firepower she have there, no pun intended, she probably will get some traction in the local government, which will give her all the momentum she needs to go into election, which is about a year and a half away at this point, you know what I mean? So we'll continue to observe that. There was another article that asked asked Gary about his feelings where Jack concerned, and he said Gary is not upset with Warner's return. Now, not upset and happy is two different things, right? Political leader of the NTA, Gary Griffith, has dispelled rumors that he was caught off guard or upset by Jack Warner's return to the UNC and to the political platform on Monday night. Messages circulated on social media claimed he was not informed of the decision until he saw notice of the flyer. Speaking to Guardian Media at the Center of Excellence after the meeting, Gary said his party was all about alliances, and it was even in the name. The name of the party I lead is the National Transformation Alliance. The word alliance is what I expected. That we would go get an alliance of all the minds of persons who feel like they can contribute, including Mr. Warner. Even though both Griffith and Warner were billed as speakers on the UNC's Monday night report, only Warner took the stage. I mean, you can't talk after Warner. Sources indicated it was due to time limitations. I'm sure it was. So this was instructive too, because Gary didn't say, yeah, I was fully aware of it. I welcome Jack. I'm happy to have Jack around. Gary saying, yeah, no, we name his alliance, so we ain't surprised that it have more alliances, and that is what we encourage and them kind of things. So the bigger question, and going back to my good friend Richie Spice's comments on the world being a cycle is, can this washing machine cycle of a quick rinse, will it survive till the national or the general election? Because if the world is in fact a cycle, and that is the song all they choose to come out to, then the cycle is that all ain't gonna last long, all they go fall out, all they go start to fire one another, and all hell go break loose, right? What we gonna have? Back to a cabal? Can they last the year and a half that it takes to get into election? But I guess when you have a carrot and the stick that is power, any one of them things could happen. So salute to the UNC, salute to everybody. I'm all back in the game and all ready to run the roost again. You know what I mean? We're looking forward to all winning the general election. We're here for it. If Jack is back, we support in UNC. Should I go straight into sports? I saw some interesting before I just talk about sports and we wrap up this week. Headline from CNC3 said fired unvaccinated workers to get salaries. They say until the legality of their terminations is determined, 6 people will continue to receive their salaries from the companies which fired them due to a refusal to take the COVID-19 vaccine. I'm just glad to see that, you know what I mean? I'm glad to see that. I find even though the discussion about vaccine versus non-vaccine was very, very irritating to me, and I couldn't take it after a while, to be honest. I find like we had enough of that. I decided I was going to take the vaccine. I know we didn't have a whole lot of information. It could be early, it could be experimental, but I also felt as if for me and my family, it would be the safest thing to do. But Stacey and I discuss it like we do most other things. I mean, if I was thinking I had to go in your body, I don't know. But we discuss it and them kind of thing, and we say, you know what I mean, let me take it. And we decide that both us and Zachary will get vaccinated. Both of us were hesitant. We had our concerns. We was a little worried. We wasn't sure and them types of things, right? And in the end, we decided to take the vaccine. But I was documented here saying many, many times that I'm not sure that I'm against people who decided that they don't want to take the vaccine. Because if I had doubts, people had doubts, and people might be doing more research than me, might be less inclined to depend on the news of the mainstream media or the pharmaceutical companies and so on. And I find it within your right to refuse to take it. I didn't see unvaccinated people as a threat to the vaccine. I find all that so much of nonsense. And it was even more hurtful to me to see that they could fire somebody if they decided not to take the vaccine. I had staff too, and I had to have a conversation with some of these staff members. And again, it was my belief that the vaccine would be the better thing to do. So when I had staff who decided that they weren't going to take the vaccine, I was like, well, why? You know, what are you thinking? And when they break it down for me, some of it makes sense, some of it makes no damn sense. But it's your choice. And we had clients who come to us and tell us they want all their staff vaccinated. And my thing was like, listen, I cannot do that in good conscience. I can't do it. I take the vaccine. So if you don't want people who vaccinated, I can't send them home. I can't. I'm not doing it. We took a stance against that, and I say worst case scenario, if the client don't want them to work for them or don't want to work alongside them, I could find somebody to replace them. I even had a bid, one from a big company here, which would have been a good contract for us, a lucrative contract over the Christmas. Because remember that during COVID, even though a lot of companies shut down, our company actually grew because we were doing outsourced labor, and because most of our work is in the supermarkets. The supermarkets never close, so we were even more necessary than we usually are. So when I saw that bid, I wanted to do the bid and thing, and then in the last minute, they say, imagine about 40 or 50 people they wanted, and they say all of them had to be vaccinated. Now, this is a different thing, right? Because then I can recruit people and let them know that if you don't have the vaccine, you can't get the job. That's not exactly sending people home, but to tell you the truth, it never really sit right with me. I can't watch 50 good young people in interviews who qualified and could do the job and tell 40 of them, nah, you can't get the job because you didn't take the vaccine. My issue with that is not telling them that. No, my issue is that, let me say some young fellow who have a little child and them thing, he decide, but he need the job, COVID times hard, and he say, boy, I'll go and get the vaccine. And then some mom say, not me, I want to sleep in the night. Yes, I take it. Let some mom to me. You know what I mean? I didn't want to be in a position where asking people to do something. And then midway through all that discussion in my mind and thing, I decided I'm not discussing vaccine no more. Oh, you can't say vaccine on YouTube again. Yes, oh God, well, if this episode comes down, you can't say vaccine too much, right? But I decided I'm not discussing it anymore. I'm not asking nobody if they're vaccinated. I just leave it alone. And as people call, I get COVID, I live. I know plenty of people get COVID, they live. Some was vaccinated, some was not. But you see now where more studies proving that these things issues. Like, I sweat in the last week, right? And coincidentally, the sweat was with some doctors. And granted, I'm very unfit at this point in time, right? My resting heart rate is high. All the indicators of being fit, mine bad, they're poor. But I find I just standing up on the field and my heart starts to race. Boom, 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 boom. It's fast. When I watch my watch, my heart rate is like 179, 180. That is my heart rate when I am X the board. That's burpees and them kind of thing heart rates. That's zone 5. So I was like, what the hell is that? So one of the doctors see me kind of looking at kind of thing, like holding my chest and watching my watch. He say, what happened? I say, boy, my heart rate just get real high. He say, how much? I say 180. Boy, the next doctor, that man, I open big. So now I come off and I sit down. So when I sit down, I find it start going down, not as slowly as it would usually, not as quick as it would usually go down, but going down slowly. So I wonder if it's a panic attack or something like that. And I eventually went back on and it started happening again, but not as intense as it was the first time. And the first thing I say is, Jesus Christ, the vaccine catch up with me. I say, I'm going home. The vaccine catch up with my heart attack. But I was fine, and I hope I'm still fine and them kind of thing. But I'm, of course, you know me, I like a joke in the worst of circumstances. So I kind of say the vaccine, and the other doctor, he didn't find out it was funny. Now he said, which vaccine you take? So now my heart starts to race again. I said, but wait, this thing real? And when I tell him, Sinopharm, he said, nah, you cool. He said, nothing. He said, once it's not Pfizer, because I guess this study is coming out now, I guess it makes me realize now all the vaccine thing I lined up in the Savannah is ice water them inject me with that thing and not a damn thing. But going back to these workers, I'm glad to see these people getting salaries. All that firing people during COVID, that was wrong. That was not right. I remember this thing about the nurses and them in COVID times who get dismissed. Because, I mean, come on. I hope I think I read that they get back their money and they get settlements and something. I feel like they give these people back their money and let them live. Before I get into sports, right, I saw just a little social media story I want to touch on real quick, right? Because my girl Matara is back in the news again for the same thing. Now, I remember talking about Matara last time with the whole betterment thing. And I like Matara, and I want to see Matara do good. I find Matara's song good. But if another artist had picked up that song who already had popularity and fame and thing, that song would be a bigger song than it is. But they can't deny the song. The song, but it's a Kanye buff girl. You never seen no craft girl. Remember to be the tough girl. I could find it and play this. The episode done turned in slowly but surely. It's a little dancehall. It's a little dancehall episode, and so we might as well play it. Taking this over Matara singing.
Some girl
Yes. Yes. All right. So that's Matara song. The song bad. Salute to Matara. The song bad. You can't deny the song. You can say what you want about Matara. The song is a bad song. No. Things seem to be always, I mean, if the news is follow Matara, Matara is creating news. Or that when you know that style, you know, people have to talk about it at the end of the day. Because one time she performed this song, a man picked she up and she got a high fall. Now she's telling people outright, hey, don't pick me up. One rule, don't pick me up when you to the point the other day, she bring her man on stage. I think it was in Tobago. The man is was he politically right way to say like a cripple? You guys say cripple? Well, the man, I don't know what he is, right? So you gotta be in the first room I was in Palladio. But the Matara wants to tell the man, or the only rule is you can't pick him up. And she turned and say, when she watch him, she say, well, all right, well, you go can't pick me up anyhow, so let me go. Salute to Matara. Salute to Matara. And listen, so more thing going viral this week at Matara. On stage, artist performing. Matara, she's an artist too, so she on stage. You never know if she could be song starts and she could run out and grab a mic or she done perform or what. But you see, like, as back what we used to see back in the day, in fact, when people pocket get picked and they pelt the wallet on the stage. Matara see the wallet. Somebody kick the wallet to the back of the stage. Matara see the wallet. Bend down quick. Look through that wallet fast to see if it has any money or any kind of thing and then throw it back. And like the wallet another cent. And somebody record that, right? And put it out. Matara, in true Matara style, cuss with everybody. Which is right. You have to stay true to brand. You cuss with everybody. Anybody who bad talking here and them think you cuss them to hell away. And then put out an apology saying she should not cuss them away. She not apologized. She made it clear that she's not apologizing for taking the wallet or checking it. Because she was saying that anybody would do the same thing. So she apologizing for cussing people away, and her reaction to the thing, not necessarily the thief in the wallet. Of course, her manager, NCW, come out and talk about it because that's what he's do. He's, again, a social media personality and her manager. And he have a vested interest in her well-being and not just her well-being, but her image is important to him, as any manager would it would be important to any manager if one of your artists doing something. What I don't understand in this whole thing is why people is feeling need to respond, including NCW. Why are you responding to any others? I just wonder sometimes, like, we forget about jokes and things. This place is, Trinidad is easily one of the places where you see old talk and barbershop talk and things. You don't want to take skin if you're living here and you're from this. So even make joke about anything. Me was making joke any situation it have. Quick to find a joke about that situation and make it into a light-hearted thing. We good at that. That is one of the things we are the best at. And I tell myself that Matara right in a way, because if somebody throw a wallet on stage now and I understand, if I forget that, I know on no stage. If I find a wallet on the ground now and I open it and see money, I am going to find the person driver's license. I'll find that person on Instagram, see if they're best. I'll message them and I will get the person thing back to them with all the money intact and thing. I'm not taking nobody money. I'll feel bad. I don't want that karma. I don't need the money. So I will give it back. But I want to tell you that is not that would not have been the case all my life. There are several points in my life where I was taking every red cent. Every cent out of that wallet. And I was calling the person to and say, I find your wallet. And I would have felt bad, but I would have felt bad a couple $100 richer. You understand? A couple $100 richer, I would have feel bad. I wasn't feeling bad broken at all. You know what I mean? And I'm not taking any money to do nothing but buy Chinese food, Royal Castle, KFC, sneakers, very frivolous things. Let me be honest, right? So when I see Matara cussing everybody, I say, well, she's damn right. Because I remember going at TSTT Calypso show at time. My mother done tell me before we leave home, boy, I don't know money, don't ask me for no money, don't ask me to buy nothing. I don't have no money. And boy, listen, I walking through the crowd. I was a child them time. And I walking through the crowd and I low to the ground, everybody high up. When I watch, I see $20 crispy cotton it and no polymer them days, boy, I mash that 20. So if you see me mash the 20 and I'm watching wrong now to see who, that $20 come like 10 grand to me at that time. I mash it, and when I see nobody in complain, I bend down now and I pick it up. But I'm picking it up now, looking like if, you know, when you're picking it up and you're trying to fake, like if you're concerned, like, whose money is this? Who's that? Is this your money, hey? I would like to have a 20. I doing that, and while I doing that now, pretending because I'm pocketing that money. I see a woman in the distance, like she leaned up on her fence, and when she must have done see my mash, she see my pick up. And when I make 4, she say, go ahead, take that. No. Which means she must have done see that. But I push that. You know, the 20 was at 40. It's 220 wrap up anything. It's 220 wrap up anything. I basket that money and I meet her. So I don't know that I could be so righteous to come on no platform or in no comments that say, oh, Matara, this and she that, because listen, everybody, your circumstances different. Yes, I also don't know. I mean, again, I pass a certain point, I pass a certain age, I don't want to do that. But the world is a cycle, Richie Spice say, you know. So if I say so hard times right now, and I have money to take and bill pay and thing, and woman out of thing and child to go to school and thing, and I find a wallet, like you say, I find a wallet, $40 I go return that. No matter how hard times get from a couple hundred, I go return that. But let me say I walking down the road and I find a wallet with $250,000 and I mash that wallet with that piece of money and I mash that. Me so sure if a piece of hard times fall on me right now and I watching mortgage this and car thing and wife and I ain't so sure that I taking my foot off of that 250, you know. I 250, I keep my foot on that and I pocket it just like that $40. I don't know. So I don't know why. It's strange to me that we look at people or we looking for a reason to look down on somebody and say that they this and they that when all of we take and we buff, you know what I mean? At the end of the story, we all take and we buff depending on the circumstances, you know. I don't know why people like that. And I also don't understand on the flip side of it. Like why Matara response to me, the first response is always the best one. Cuss with the hell everybody because that is who he is and you're changing. And I also don't feel like it's such a bad thing that she's cuss with everybody. Like why are we treating her like if she's a second class citizen because she's cuss and carry on? Like I mean people just cuss and carry on sometimes. She will change, she will evolve. It will take time. She's cussed people a lot less than she do now. But I suppose as NCW, if I have brands I talking to and people I trying to get to see me differently. I see this discussion play out with Joe Budden podcast and Queen's Flip recently, where Joe Budden was saying, listen, it's no value in Flip cussing out the fans all the time and telling fans all this kind of thing. And I mean, people has evolved, people has changed. Joe Budden will also tell you that he went through all that before and look where he is now. And he may go through it again. And it's just, life is an evolution process. So when I tell him that Matara destined for goodness, I mean it. She go do fine. She true to herself. She cuss with everybody. I suppose NCW and them could take. I find that as a manager, what I would do is call and say Matara, I can't cuss with everybody. But I always feel uneasy when I see him apologize or speak on her behalf like that. It's feel like if somebody talking down to you a little bit. I don't like that. I find you could keep that private, talk to your artist, tell them, hey, those so. Imagine if Marshall was your artist. Right? And Marshall do something that is not publicly acceptable or it hurts the business relationships. If NCW was Marshall artist, would he come and talk to Marshall like, boy, I'm glad to see you apologize and that's what I was waiting on, an apology, and Marshall is changing? I'm not sure that you're doing that with anybody. The only reason you might do that with somebody is if you're genuinely seeing the person as less. So, you know, sometimes you see it as a father figure and think, well, this Matara, big woman, he's the manager, you might respond to that. And I always go back to this too, like NCW is a comedian and he's extremely funny, one of the funniest we have on social media. Like you could make fun of them situations, that funny. And I myself, just like how Matara's natural instinct is to cuss, my natural instinct is to make joke and laugh. So if I mash that 250,000, look good, pull it out, put it in my pocket, something, and then I realize, you know them parody shows where like they put $1 on the ground, somebody go to pick it up and a fishing line pull it back. Let me assume when I go to pick it up, a fishing line pull it back. Or when I put it in my pocket, I realize it's a heavy set of counterfeit dollars. Or it blow up like one of them bank dollars and I become the butt of a joke or a big prank like what Matara end up being there. I can't wait to come on the next episode. If that happened to me, my next episode finish record. I don't need to talk about nothing else. Because I come in to tell myself, I say, boy, it's a hard time, sit me, I take that 250 and I don't count what I'm going to do with it. That is okay. That is okay. You get catching a wrong stand up. It's funny. You ain't kill nobody. You ain't do nothing major wrong. Forget that, man. You take on your buff and enjoy your life and work on your second song. Like, I remember Maca Diamond singing a song named Robbery. Robbery, ooh, robbery, ooh. She make a whole song out of that. So if I find Matara next song, she should make a kind of a pickpocket kind of robbery song, and let people enjoy music. And people enjoy the music and enjoy this. I don't think it's ever that serious. I find like we need to calm down and enjoy yourself. All right. Last but not least, West Indies getting licks. Lost by 200 runs. Lost by 200 runs in a one-day international. That is hard to accomplish. I mean, at a time when I used to watch one days, the whole one day would finish at about 250 runs. Man, make one something in a one day. West Indies lose by 200 runs. Salute to them. They still played. Hopefully they don't lose by no more. You know what I mean? You had to set your marker and try not to embarrass yourself further. And so CPL coming up as well. So West Indies, gratefully, West Indies playing in the region. Maybe because India playing in Trinidad is still attracting some attention. People going to the games, people talking about it and so on. But CPL, nothing attracts more attention in this part than CPL. And CPL is now, in the words of a fellow I respect a lot in the business world, a fellow by the name of Curtis Rudd, Fatima old boy, old marketing manager in Prestige Holdings, one of the best. I mean, when you look at Prestige Holdings and their brands and KFC and them thing, you'd see how much work he put in a company like that. Marketing genius, maverick, if you ask me, in this country. Also a very great cricket supporter. And a reading from his post here from the 29th of July. Biggest party in sport is now awake. Rest in peace, regional cricket. He said, I usually don't take to social media to bash organization and brands. At least not for free. But this one hurt me to the core. All you know how I love sports, especially cricket and football. The role sports plays in a society continue to be taken for granted. How only the good thing left in West Indies cricket that we enjoy, which is the lime and the vibes, CPL and CWI have contrived to kill it with these restrictions. Don't tell me no crap about sponsor entitlement. I've warned that had numerous times for several companies in dealings with West Indies cricket. So this is not a layman opinion here, because I haven't been Prestige Holdings marketing manager for as long as he has. It means that he would have done deals, marketing deals, and he understands what he's marketing for. KFC, Pizza Hut, TGI Fridays, maybe even Subway if that was their franchise in the time. I know he'd have left before they did Starbucks, but certainly grow some of the biggest brands this country has in franchising space. And he's saying here that he also dealt with West Indies cricket to make these brands, because KFC would have sponsored West Indies cricket before. He said, this is crap. This is taking us down the failed 2007 World Cup cricket road again. Do these people making these decisions even understand the culture of West Indians, or is it just a copy and paste from international terms and conditions? He said, you know, we lazy so. They've managed to kill West Indies cricket on the field, and now they are making sure that it is also dead in the stands. You know what I mean? The man firing shots here. He says, no joy on or off the field. This has me so pissed that I'm willing to risk falling out with many of my friends in and around the industry. How? No sharing of chow with Tanti from Penal, taking a drink from the man in Shagonas, getting a taste of the curry or pella or sauce from the family I just met. Don't even talk about if someone has a special dietary needs or if it's raining. And it's not as though the concessionaires even ever step up. That's always a nightmare. There have to be better ways to enjoy your coveted sponsors and are protected from ambush marketing. You all really watch that dotish list of restrictions. A blasted vex, you know what I mean? All you don't get Curtis upset in these streets. All you trying to what going on? All we Kamla up in here. All we Kamla up this place. All. So this is coming out from the Night Riders saying basically that it's important notice for patrons coming to Queen's Park Oval and Brian Lara Cricket Academy to watch matches. The notice said there's no power banks to charge your phone. So if your phone dead, it's dead. No lighters, no selfie stick, no wooden stick, no sharp objects, no backpacks, no bottles, no umbrellas, no cameras, no weapons, no food, no helmet, no cooler, no liquor. Walk with your hands swinging. Now, The first thing I thought about when they say this, right, is maybe if you let people walk with helmet, you could let them come with the stick and the bottle and them kind of thing. You know, some of these things canceling each other out. But I just find, I think Curtis is right in that it kills some of the culture of West Indies cricket. I haven't experienced it in Trinidad for a long time, maybe because I don't go cricket often enough, but I went to Guyana to watch a CPL match a couple of years ago, and that vibe was definitely there. Everything that Curtis described was part of that vibe. People share drinks with us, people offer us food. I was the only man in a red jersey in the midst of all the Guyana supporters. So with all the noise I'm making and thing for Trinidad, we lost like hella, for the record. All the noise I'm making for Trinidad and thing, people offer me everything they had in the little area around us. People ask you if you want, and that's for a CPL game, which is lasts about a half hour. Oh, I think it's 4 hours. But imagine Test cricket, what it used to be, you know, being there all day and stuff. So as an avid West Indies supporter, Curtis that is, not me, and going to games and dealing with the disappointment, the CPL seemed to be killing it off. Now, let me explain what ambush marketing is, right, and why it's important. One of the first examples I saw of ambush marketing was when Kodak was a sponsor of a World Cup game, a World Cup tournament, a FIFA sponsor. And what Fuji Films did, which was Kodak's immediate competitor, I really don't know. These are my examples of Kodak and Fuji when they used to sell films still. But what Fuji Films did was give out a whole lot of jerseys and caps outside the stadium. So everybody who was going in, they would give them these jerseys and hats, and people wore them. So Kodak was the sponsor, but every time you pan to the crowd, big sections and Fuji things, right? What they used to do as well is give people banners. So they will pay. So I could buy tickets for my marketing team or my promotional girls and send them in the stadium. And while Coke is a sponsor, I have them in Pepsi jerseys and Pepsi hats and giving away Pepsi. So it's an ambush because I paid for the right to show my brand in that space, which is important in marketing. And my competitor ambushes me by paying and doing underhanded things to get into the events that derail my efforts, right? So the West Indies cricket, CPL is trying to protect against this. I mean, the food, some of those things, so you might have a food sponsor or things like that, and they don't want any. So they're not allowing people to come in. The umbrella might well be, because if B Mobile is a sponsor, they don't want people to come in with that digital umbrella and so on. I'll tell you this, right? When I went to the World Cup, one of the things that they did differently to prevent ambush marketing was, before you gave your ticket, you were going through a set of gates like a ticket gate. You know when you're going to a big event and you had to show your ticket at different gates before you go in? You were doing that. But what I didn't realize, it was sponsor gates. So I would pass through the Coca-Cola gate first. And what they had was Coke, a set of Coke things to give away, which they were giving to everybody who passed through the door. But what they would do as well is, if you had on a Pepsi hat, they would tell you cannot go in the game in that hat. They will take it and they will give you back a hat and maybe some other things that you could use. And people were comfortable with it, you know. Nobody was making a fuss because, listen, you want to get into the game gonna start, and you want to fight that battle, and they're telling you could come and get your thing when the thing done. But where you're not gonna go in the stadium and allow for ambush marketing. So I hope, I mean, with voices like Curtis coming out and talking about this, I expect that the powers that be, because Curtis would put this on social media where his followers and people could see it. But because he's well connected and well respected in that marketing industry in Trinidad and Tobago, and he has relationships with West Indies cricket as well as some of the companies who would be some of the biggest sponsors of this, I expect that we are likely to see some adjustments in this. He might be talking to people behind this as well. And the weapon and the sharp object part might remain, but certainly the camera, the power bank, some of those things that even some of the ones that are there for safety, like selfie sticks and those things, there might be some compromise on that. But I hope there is, because I think you're right. The CPL is continuing to grow and be a big part of West Indian cricket. And I saw somebody in his comments as well saying that there's a possibility that things like this are standard in T20 tournaments throughout the world, and they might have always been there. Somebody just highlighted it at this point in time on social media. And some of these things might be rules, but the enforcing of them is a different story. And nobody genuinely paying attention to who come in with a selfie stick and who have a power bank and who coming in with food and those types of things. I hope it's not the case, because I think he also right to say that we are not we are not very good at the concession thing that makes it easy when these things are done. Whereas they have some other international events where those things will be banned. Trinidad will be the first country to ban food and drink at a venue. But you find that the concession and all that works better there. Anyway, it's time to head out of here. This has been a long episode. Welcome back to you all from Who on Vacation, and I coming back myself. I want to close off giving another salute to the great Lord Nelson. You know what I mean? I just want to play one of my favorite ones to continue to wish him a happy, happy birthday.
To show it really is so. I see this teenage woman about 80 something on top of roller skates, say she disco dancing. She doing she Ferris wheel and she disco splitting. I said this woman braving she Why don't this woman behave she Suppose she fall and break up she change your feature. Your eyes get wide like tiger, and the rhythm beating down in your belly, and your eardrums bust, you can't hear nobody, and them spinning lights have you blind completely, and all you hearing round you is you have to take this song and you this time you're getting down with your when daddy in the disco, it's day or night, I don't know, because it's heavy rock with me disco, baby. Daddy in the heights and me feeling groovy. Mr. DJ just play the let the music play the same celebrate and wait with you.
And I go see you all up all your neck.